Hey guys, this is Ranged, and I'm bringing you this video. This is a video um, of a replay. It's an analysis of a replay of a series I had against Empire TheMista about 12 days ago in a Playhem. The reason this video is and this post on Team Liquid is taking so long for me to get out there is because I've spent a lot of time talking to other players, sharing these replays with other players, and really watching other replays of TheMista, and just doing a lot of research, trying to come to a conclusion or gather enough evidence before I make this video. And because I realize that accusing somebody of hacking is something that's serious and should not be taken lightly. And I'm out of my comfort zone. But I also feel like people shouldn't get away with hacking, so that's why I decided to make this video. Alright, so this is going to be the first replay of two that I'm going to make videos on. The PvP, I gathered a lot of replays of TheMista, not a lot, but maybe like 8, and there were 3 PvPs or 4 PvPs, and these are the two games that I thought were like the most suspicious. So let's go ahead and get into the game here, and I'll explain the suspicious movements and stuff from Mista's view, Mista's camera. Alright, so the first suspicious thing, like movement, begins at 5:43. So I'll spend the first few minutes of the game explaining some other things. To my knowledge, the current hack, or the hack that players use in StarCraft 2 right now, is one that has a camera lock, or something that locks your camera on your base when you go, or where your screen was last when you go into the Fog of War. It won't let you, like the hack itself won't let you look into the Fog of War completely. It won't move your camera there in the replay. So this helps to hide the fact that you're hacking in a replay, right? Because it'd be super obvious if your camera was moving from your base to your opponent's base, checking what they're doing, and back, and over again as the game went on. So I'm assuming of course they put this feature in the hack to prevent you from getting caught. Now I also want to point out that this isn't your standard hacker, because like your standard ladder hacker will just use the hack to 2-gate proxy in your base, right? So they don't really care if they get caught. I mean, of course they don't want to get caught, but they just want their ladder points. They want their wins, right? And they'll just, if they get caught, I mean, they're nobody known, so they'll just go and they'll buy a new account, right? Their account gets banned, or people find out they're a hacker, they'll just rename their account with their free name change, or they'll buy another account and start all over again. This isn't the case. I mean, Empire TheMista is somebody who is well known in a well-known team, and he doesn't want to get caught hacking. So he will take the necessary steps in order to not get caught. Like he'll try to make it like he'll scout every once in a while, you know, little things to make it seem like he's not hacking. So keep that in mind. The other thing is you have to take into consideration is there's some really small things. There's a lot of small things in a game of StarCraft. StarCraft's a really complicated game, so a lot of small things can be suspicious, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your opponent's hacking. But when added together, when combined, if you take a bunch of small things, they can really add up and be very suspicious, or almost conclusive as far as if somebody's hacking. So as you can see here, if you're a Protoss player, the build he's doing, he hasn't scouted in his base. I mean, he has full vision of his base now, but if he was being proxied, he probably would have lost. but that doesn't mean he's hacking, right? That alone doesn't mean he's hacking because, you know, sometimes people take risks. Sometimes people don't scout in PvP. They use those extra minerals to get like an extra unit out, or have a build that's like super safe against everything, and then they scout after their core, or they don't scout at all, and they do a build that's just safe, right? That they can transition, they can adapt without any information. Um, that's not the case this game. As you can see, TheMista hasn't left his base, um, which, as I said, is not like normally that's something small that wouldn't mean anything. But let's just take note of it for now. All right, so the first suspicious movement is actually at 5:43. I noted a camera lock for until 5:52. So get ready at 5:43 and see what happens here. All right, and camera lock. Notice he stays in one spot for a long time, and the camera moves a little bit. Um, Maybe it's possible he was just spamming on his Stargate, but I don't believe he had his Stargate. I believe he just had his Nexus uh, selected. Alright, so the next thing I noted was 624. Now this one I paused. This one is a little, like, this one isn't suspicious at first glance. What we're going to see here is he selects his Phoenixes, and he does something which may seem normal. He appears to take his Phoenixes and rally them or command them down the side of the mini-map, the left side of the mini-map, keeps his screen where it's at, and he moves his Phoenixes down by clicking on the mini-map. That's, at first glance, that's what I thought was happening. So let's go ahead and play 624, 625, 626, 627. Okay. Yeah, Phoenix is just going down, just using the mini-map to move his Phoenixes, right? Well, if we go back to 624, go to 620 really quickly. I want to look into the fog here, and what we see gotta go back. It's very hard to see. So what I end up seeing is something very suspicious. He moves his Phoenixes down the map, and if you look into the fog, you can see the clicks, right? This isn't anything abnormal in a regular game. If you click on the mini map, you're going to see them on the map if you were to have your screen there, right? So he clicks here and here. Notice that this last click is at the bottom of my ramp, right? And then I just want you to take note of how precise the clicks are at the end. And this may not be anything, but it's just something that I took note of that seemed abnormal to me and quite suspicious. So the clicks here, and ends at the bottom of my ramp. Now, that wouldn't be too suspicious if his camera would have moved down here, but his camera didn't move down here. And I don't know of anybody who can click that precisely, but then again, it's very possible. But the thing that's suspicious is I have two sentries here sitting, but he doesn't know about them. Anyways, that was one of the things that I noticed. So next we'll move on to, we'll go back to his vision, and we'll go, the next suspicious thing I notice is at 7:08, and I believe it's another camera lock. But I also noted on there that it's not too suspicious, but it is suspicious. Alright, so he's moving his Phoenixes, clicks, he's putting a lot of attention on my ramp where he doesn't know that my sentries are, but they just happen to be there, so he kills them, right? Not too suspicious, because heck, if I'm going Phoenix, I probably have sentries at my ramp, right? With this build, most likely. So maybe he knows that. I mean, I do try to hunt down a sentry if I'm doing this Phoenix opening, so it might not be too suspicious. But at 7:08 here is where I noticed the camera lock. So 7:08, he's moving his Phoenixes to the left. Camera lock, camera lock, camera lock, camera lock. Wow. That's really weird. Um, if you'll notice on my vision, my phoenixes were on the map looking for his, right? So, in my opinion, when that screen locks, he's out here looking. Where are his phoenixes? How many does he got? Where are they going? Um, so anyways, that's the next one I noticed. That was kind of a long one. That was over 5 seconds, and I don't know of anybody who looks at their opponent's natural for 5 seconds. So okay, the next one is the most obvious one that I could find. It's the one where when I was watching this replay, and actually when I was watching this replay, I was looking for my mistakes. I didn't even, during the series, I didn't even think he was hacking. I didn't even have a suspicion of that. I was just watching the replay to find my own mistakes, and I stumbled upon this extremely suspicious move that pretty much 100% made me think that he was a hacker. All right, so that's at 7:12 or 7:22. So let's go ahead and watch his vision. So he's bringing his phoenixes. I went ahead and paused. He's bringing his phoenixes up the left side, and as you can see, he shift clicked, right, rallying his phoenix up the side of the map, and then with no information, right? He doesn't know where my phoenixes are. He hasn't seen my phoenixes. The last time he saw one of my phoenixes was at his base. All right, so with no information, he decides to turn his phoenixes around. Now let's go back. Let's go back a little bit. Here's his phoenixes, right? They're moving down the left side of the map. Okay, now let's look at my vision. My phoenixes are coming to intercept his, right? Here they are. They're coming to intercept his, and all of a sudden he decides to change route. And that's not the most suspicious part. Instead of, maybe he's changing route to go back to my base. No, he's changing route to go up the middle of the map. So that was the most suspicious one to me, just straight up dodging my phoenixes. Um, and actually, that's the last suspicious move I find in the game. The rest of the game, he just actually he just comes and kills me right now. I think with 4 gates or something. Um, so that was the last suspicious move. Now let's move on to the next replay because I have some good points about the next replay.